Fender guitars have got themselves in a lot of trouble with the community, but I think that it's the community that's going to save Fender. As you can see, I own a Fender. I recently also bought a guitar that's a Squier, which is effectively a Fender. So I want to make it clear that I like Fender, actually. I'm a little confused by the move that they've taken recently. I'm not going to reiterate everything that's being said on YouTube at the moment, because as you've probably already seen, many YouTubers are speaking out about this, a bit of a weird move for Fender, and it's not going to really work in their favor. So if you don't know what's going on, I think Fender's got a lawsuit going on. They're sending cease and desists out to small companies that make Fender Strat style bodies. It sounds like Fender is trying to force companies to stop making guitars that are basically exactly the same shape as this, a Stratocaster, and they're also asking them to destroy the stock of any guitars that they have made. And the reason that this case is probably so big is because it's going to have a knock-on effect to what happens to other companies in the future. So it's not just like this one company. I think numerous companies have had cease and desist sent to them. And if it just continues to succeed, it's just going to continue to go on until no one is allowed to make a guitar this shape. As you've probably seen over the past 74, 72, 75 years, I don't know how many years it's been, it's actually kind of difficult to move away from this shape. It's not really that it's just popular, but it's like, this is kind of what the shape has to be an electric guitar. Like, if this horn isn't here, then the body of the guitar, it won't sit in like a really good position. It's not really that it's just a nice design that everyone likes. It's kind of just the optimized, like if you make a guitar, this is kind of where all the parts have to go, essentially. Not that this is the only design out there. As you know, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of guitar designs out there. I feel like it's difficult to justify like saying that only one company should be allowed to make this shape, because it's just kind of unavoidable. But I do see the argument, and I can understand why a company, you know, especially if it's not the people making the guitars, but if it's the people who just like in charge of the finance department, I can see why they would try to push this, because it's like, if the guitar industry is kind of struggling anyway, then it's like maybe they're just doing anything they possibly can to, I don't know, save the company. The thing is, this is obviously not the move. This is not a move that's going to save the company. If anything, it's going to tank the company. And so what I mean when I said at the beginning that I think the community will be the ones that save Fender, they're in a lose-lose situation if they continue down this path. Most people buying a new Fender guitar from now on into the future, they're going to be watching, you know, YouTubers, influencers, musicians, and I can't see anyone really standing by the company if they continue to go down this path. And if nobody stands with them, then everyone's against them, and then they're going to end up going bust anyway if no one buys the guitars. Even if it doesn't seem like the right thing to do, it's in their best interest to not go down this path. So I'm not here to say like what the correct thing is to do, because this is like a very sticky topic. It's like, if you make something, do you have the intellectual property for it? And how long do you have the property over it? And is it a copyright issue, or is it an actual, like, you know, patent? Is this an invention? Like this, it gets complicated. And I don't know what kind of situation Fender's in at the moment. I assume that they're in a sticky situation where it's like, maybe they genuinely believe that the fact that other companies are making like guitar bodies that are almost exactly the same shape as the Stratocaster, if not exactly the same shape, maybe they've done the math and they've found out like they cannot survive as a company unless they do this. So maybe this is their last ditch effort. I actually don't know if this is like the only thing that can save them, but it feels more like people will continue to buy Fenders if they do good by the community. By winning a lawsuit like this, essentially they might gain the rights to, you know, shut down a few small companies. But the fallout is that everyone, you know, sees that as unnecessary. Like, as far as I can tell, even though people recognize that there are lots of other great guitars out there, you know, that are Stratocaster in shape, people still love, or they loved, Fender, and they want Fender to continue. You know, Fender is the brand that made the guitars that were played by so many people's guitar heroes. And that's not going to change. Like, history is set in stone. Those people played Fenders. Maybe they don't play Fenders anymore. It's not even relevant. Like, the people who played certain guitars in history, That's very powerful, and that's part of why the Fender company is still so powerful today, or at least we thought they were still so powerful today. They're just in this awkward position where winning a lawsuit ends up them losing their company because, you know, they're just going to lose the support of, and I'm not trying to say that influencers have all of the control, but, you know, influence is not just influencers, it's musicians, it's artists who use Fenders in studios or on stage. Sorry, my nose is really itchy today, and it happens every time I make coffee. What I think is happening with the community is that it's not really the law that matters. Like, let's say that the law in Europe allows Fender to win a case against a small company. But the law that actually matters in practice is the law decided by the community. Now, that can be very dangerous because sometimes the hive minds can come together and make a decision that kind of actually, you know, ends up kind of being a lose-lose situation for everyone instead of making things better. But in this instance, it seems like Fender is probably going to lose so much support. It's in their interest to step away from it. And as such, I think that's because of what the community has said about it. Like, we want to continue buying Fender guitars. I'm fairly certain that, you know, even if other companies make better Stratocasters than Fender, it doesn't even really matter because it doesn't say Fender on the headstock. I'm sure that there is enough prestige to the company of like owning an original Fender still that people will still buy them, even if they're not technically the best Stratocaster that you can buy for the money. If they successfully get this company to stop making Stratocasters and also burn all of their old stock, and then if they go on to other companies, which I think they may already have been doing, and they cease and desist them as well, and then they move on to, I don't know, PRS, and they try to shut down the Silver Sky as well. As far as I can tell, the actual effect of this will just mean that people stop supporting Fender, and as a result, they kind of go bust anyway. I don't want that. I genuinely don't want that because I have loved the look of Fender guitars my whole life. Even before I actually liked artists who played Fenders, I still loved the look of the guitar. I still thought like I'd like a Fender, and then I've discovered that, you know, some of the most influential musicians of all time played Fenders. It just seems to me that the way forward for them to succeed is to go with what the community is saying on this one. And that it's almost like their hand is being forced into success. Like they could ignore the community, they can go against what's their hand being forced, and then they'll just fail. But if they go with what's being forced upon them, I think maybe success will be forced upon them. Like, they can backtrack and say, we understand that that was a terrible decision. And not only are we going to backtrack, we're going to increase the quality of our Stratocasters. We're going to start like creating designs that people have been clamoring for a long time and give you plenty of excuses to buy our guitars instead of the copy companies that are obviously copying Stratocasters. So anyway, that's my input on the situation. I'm not here to make another video where we discuss whether they're right or wrong. There's plenty of videos out there, and actually a lot of them are really good. I'm really glad to see a lot of people speaking out about this. And honestly, I think most of the videos I've seen, at least, people want Fender to succeed. I don't think they're like, okay, this is obviously a bad company, and let's watch them burn now because obviously they made a bad decision. I think a bad decision can be rolled back, and I think they can be saved, and I would love if Fender managed to continue succeeding in the future. I just think that maybe the community has forced their hand. They've kind of forced Fender to backtrack on this, and if they don't, like it or not, I think the support is going to disappear from the community, and eventually they're going to wish that they had backtracked anyway. But let me know, do you have any strong opinions about what Fender has done with regards to this lawsuit and trying to shut down companies that make Stratocaster, you know, basically they're making Stratocaster guitars that aren't made by Fender. Do you feel strongly about it, and what do you see happening? What's your prediction? Do you think Fender will walk this one back, or do you think they're just going to keep pushing forward with it? And if they do push forward with it, do you think that they're going to still find a way to survive as a company as a result? Do you feel like there's just so many people who buy these guitars and don't watch YouTube that this is not going to affect their decision at all? That's also a possible future of this. I have no idea what's going to happen. Anyway, that's all for now. I'll see you in the next one.